angles or changing locations. So this will be in real time, just like cleaning the brush was. One of the first things you want to do when cleaning a mini roller is make sure that you get as much of this paint on the wall as possible. So if you go to a section that you have already painted, maybe that's not so visible, you can clean this out on the wall as much as possible. If you don't want to mess up a perfectly finished job, you can always just find some board or something that's going to get thrown away, and just really make sure, send as little paint down the sink as possible. These things will hold a lot of paint. So my 5-in-1 tool, or however many in one tool, one thing I'll do is back into the container. Look at how much paint comes off this when I do that. A, why send that down the drain? B, why not save that? C, why make your job harder by trying to wash that out when you can just literally wring it out of the roller? So you'll probably want to do this with gloves because you're going to get messy on your hands. Okay, so once I feel satisfied that I have pulled as much paint out of this, try going the other way too, as much paint out of this as possible so that I'm not sending it down the sink, I'm not wasting it, or I am not trying to wash this out in the first place. Once I've done that, I can move my Pelican. By the way, Wooster, it's the only brand I'll ever use. I'm sure they've gotten better over the years. The other thing is that the paint on the side, you want to get as much of that as possible off using a good old rag or something like that. Let's open that up. As much of this stuff as you can get off, because that'll trick you. That'll trick you when you're washing it. So you want to just get as much of that off as possible. You might even want to just pull this off, move your pan, and give this a good general cleaning. We're going to put it back on there in a second. So clean your roller off a bit. This works for a proper size roller too. I'll do a video on that at some point in time when I actually use a proper size roller. But inside there, that little wet paint will make it seem like your roller is not clean when it really is. So now that we are satisfied that most of the paint that is liquid and able to fool us into thinking there is color still coming out of this roller when there is not, is out of there, let's replace our roller. Actually, let's even just give it a shot of water on the inside to get any like major solids out of there. Let it drip out, put it back on. That's not the last time we're going to do this. But now, fill up a little pan with some water. Turn it off and just start rolling, kind of like you were loading a roller. Because what you're doing is you're getting wet and then you are squeezing it out. Squeezing it out. Squeezing it out. Now I think this roller is an old roller. I think I have used this and washed it many times. Cannot confirm that, but I believe that is the case just by how flat and kind of gumpy looking it's looking already. Means it's probably been washed and reused multiple times. Usually if it's a brand new roller and you've just used it, it won't look as worn out. Dump that water out. Now once again, if you were going to do this right, you would pour this water into a container and you would put it aside and you would let the water evaporate and you would throw the solids into the garbage. So now I have another clean bath of water. And I'm going to take my roller and I'll start doing that. And you can already see, I don't know if you can see at this angle, you can already see that what's coming out of that roller But that water, it's hard to see against the white background, but that water is a lot cleaner. That water is already not as dirty as the first time. So once again, get it down in there, get it down in there. Maybe every once in a while give it a little thing, or again, take your 5-in-1 tool. This unfortunately has a little color solids on it. Take your 5-in-1 tool and wring that water out like that. So that dirty water, the solids of the paint will be dissolved in that water, and then you will remove that water, thus removing many of the solids. Let's dump that water out, and let's go with a third little bath. And you can already see I don't know if you can see this, but that water is already quite a bit cleaner. That's just our third little bath of the roller. When you're getting this level of cleanliness, that's not a bad time to open this up. Give this a little rinse. Get rid of some of those solids. I can already see there's some little white solids in there. That's, yeah. I mean, not solids, that's still some liquid paint that never got cleaned off. And by eliminating that, some of that dirty water might have been that. Get inside that roller, because it'll hide in there a little bit too. Give it another quick roll. You can already see that water is practically transparent. I think we're in a place where we can do our final treatment. Okay. On a big roller, on a real size roller, you can use a spinner. And I have one of those, but you don't need one. They're super handy. They're super helpful. But in this, if you're below the level of your slop sink, you can give it a spin yourself. That centrifugal force is going to get the water, which has the remaining paint, pigments, and stuff left in it. And as you can see, that roller is coming back to life. You want to be careful, because I don't think we're 100% yet on this. And if I give it a spin, it's going to put some, it's going to spread some color onto my clothes, onto whatever around me. But if you're outside, go find a spot outside, far away in the middle of your lawn or something. Put a little pole in the ground and give it a proper spin. See that? I just don't go the other way. And that is really that roller is dry and it is ready to use again. They will degrade over time. So if this was your plush cabinet roller, maybe now it's your trim roller. Maybe it's your inside the cabinet trim roller now. And you use a brand new one if you're going to do a proper job. But there you go. You also do not want to store this on there. So your hands are clean, because you don't want to put any solids back on there. Make sure that's open. These will rust up if you leave them sitting. So take it out. Take a little rag. Dry it off. Especially where it meets there. Give it a little centrifugal force. That is clean and ready to go, and you will get many more uses out of this roller. Many more uses out of this roller. If I may brag, I left this roller wrapped in plastic, and I will show you how to wrap a roller in plastic in my next video. I left this roller wrapped in plastic for a year. I wrapped it up. I put it here, I forgot about it. I came about 2 months later and was like, oh, I better clean that off. And then I thought, how about an experiment? And so I kept it wrapped in my method for 1 year and then opened it up. The paint was still fresh. I cleaned this roller and I have used it on many jobs and cleaned it again. So this roller is still in service. The year-long experiment was from 2009 to 2010. So this roller sat in paint for over a year, wrapped correctly, and then was washed, and then was used on jobs for another 5 or 6 years. Then I became a teacher, and I don't paint anymore, but the roller still lives, as does this one. More to come. Make sure that if you have a metal, this is a really old metal pan with multiple coats, but letting that sit in water will rust up. And if you get a piece of rust in your roller, that'll ruin a job, it'll ruin a roller, it'll ruin